My name is Biz Magarity from Navi Yoga Center in Philadelphia, bringing you another episode of our distance self-learning series. Yoga practices that you can take on the road or in your home when you can't make it to your favorite studio. Today's practice is going to be a tune-up or a tune-in. One of my yoga teachers, I can't remember which one of them, but they were very smart, made the metaphor of sometimes our yoga practice can be like the handbook of a car or the owner's manual of a car. You don't look at the owner's manual to the car unless you need to know something about your car. I take that back. Some of you might just be really into cars and reading owner's manuals. I have never opened an owner's manual until one of those lights on the dashboard comes on that I don't recognize, or I'm stranded at the side of the road and my cell phone doesn't work. Yoga practice can be the same way. You know, we don't necessarily pay attention to what's going on in our body until we have pain or until we can't do something. So as we go through the postures today, we're going to spend a lot of very particular attention to what we're feeling, how we're aligned, which bone is near which other bone, which muscle is contracting, which one feels like it's stretching. It's a lot of details. The details, in those details, we find out some of these really special things about our body, but also it's a good mental practice. If you're paying close attention to those details, there's less time and space for you to worry about the other things that are going on in your life. So we're going to start breathing in a nice seated posture. You can stay just like this in the cross-legged posture. If you feel like you would rather come into a virasana or a hero's pose, I'm grabbing a block. I'm putting that block right underneath my seat. I'm not sitting on my feet. My feet are just outside of my hips. And I'm bringing my hands, palms down onto my thighs, drawing my shoulders back in space, and then imagining from here the crown of the head lifts up to the sky. Close your eyes and start to breathe. Inhale, fully and deeply. Feel like you get bigger. Exhale, let that breath all the way out of your body. Empty. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let that breath all the way out. Keep going like that. Inhaling, and then exhaling the breath out. And kind of notice at the start of an inhale or the start of an exhale, there's a little bit of a pause. So breath can be linear. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. And then try to shift that. Could you make the end of that inhale so soft, so subtle that it just kind of slips into the exhale, and vice versa? So it's less of a straight up and down and more of like a little circle, egg-shaped, elliptical shape. Inhale. And when you feel like your inhale is done, just slowly turn it around to exhale. Try a few more of those at your own count, at your own pace. If you'd like to set an intention for practice, go ahead and set an intention. Take one more of those slow, deep breaths in. Let it all the way out. And then open up your eyes. We're going to come forward. If you were sitting on a block, take it out from underneath you. If you were sitting cross-legged, come meet me at hands and knees. Let's put our toenails down on the ground, tops of the feet stretching long, and just exhale. Shift your hips back into a child's pose. Child's pose, you know, it might be the first pose you've ever learned in a yoga class, and we don't always think about it. Notice how you naturally fall into child's pose. Are your knees close or are they wide? Change it. So if you always go wide, go close together, or vice versa. How do your knees feel about that? Make sure you've chosen something that makes most sense for your body. All 10 toenails are trying to get to the floor, and then your hip points are trying to get to your heels. Take a big deep breath in here. Feel that inhale, expand the back of the body. Exhale, let the breath out. Good, inhale, come back up to hands and knees. We're gonna curl our toes under, and now press your hips back. Feeling a stretch through the bottoms of the feet. Inhale, come forward. Toenails on the ground, press them down. Press your hips back. Those of you that have tight ankles or tight feet, this might not feel great. Move within your range. Inhale, come forward. Curl your toes, press your hips back. If you've got a bigger first toe or a lot of tension in that first toe, try to push your heels out a little bit and get that pinky toe towards the ground so the outer edge of the foot can get a stretch. Inhale here. Exhale, come up. Toenails go back on the ground. You're gonna shift back one more time, press back. This time, see if you can maybe lift your knees up off the floor. I'm drawing my belly towards my spine and lifting my knees up, getting a really big stretch to the shin. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. Go ahead, come on out. Send your feet to one side. And then we're gonna shift our legs out in front of us. So we're doing a lot of really small movements today. Here's my feet, the bottom of them. I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. Drop my shoulders down, take a big deep breath in here. Exhale, let the breath out. On your next inhale, I want you to point your toes forward. And then exhale, pull your toes back towards you. So notice how those ankles move. Inhale, you're just drawing the toes forward. Exhale, you're pulling them back. That's the intention. But notice if your feet turn a little bit, or if one side can go further than the other. The other thing I want you to notice is how much your upper legs are helping out with this activity. Put your hands on your knees. Nothing's allowed to work from the knees up. Inhale, point your toes. Okay, so it should be calves and the bottom of the feet that are working. Maybe a stretch through the front of the shin and the foot. As I exhale, I'm pulling my toes back, feeling work in the front of my foot and the front of my shin. My calf is getting a little stretch here. Oh, but wait, I feel like my quads are working. Can I do this without engaging any of those upper leg muscles, without moving the knees? I'm just moving my ankles. Inhale, point your toes. Exhale, flex, draw them back. Inhale, point your toes. Exhale, flex the ankles, draw them back. Good. Notice if one is easier than the other. One direction, one side. And then we're gonna come back to our neutral point. So we're starting point, all of our toes point up. And I want you to think about moving again at the ankles. As you inhale, you're turning your feet towards one another. So if you're high-fiving, and then exhale, you're pressing your feet out to the side. So it's not a windshield wiper, it's just toes up. Inhale, I'm activating these muscles from the inner ankle through my inner shin. Exhale, I'm turning them out. It's the outside. You should even see maybe a little divot in the side of that shin. Inhale. Exhale. Check in with your knees. Are they moving? They shouldn't be. Inhale, you're high-fiving yourself. Exhale. Hopefully, at some point in these two exercises, you're feeling some muscles in the shins and the calves that maybe you don't normally pay attention to. And again, there's often a big difference left side versus right side. Maybe it's related to a prior injury. All right, if your brain has had enough of this exercise, we're gonna walk away from it. Go ahead and give the ankles a little roll, one direction, then the other. Good. And then we're gonna come up to stand. So go ahead, bend your knees. Come to hands and knees. Curl your toes, lift your hips, downward dog. While we're in it, let's inhale, come up to lift the heels up, coming up to the tippy toes. Exhale, drop your heels down. Inhale, come up to those tippy toes. Exhale, drop your heels down. So maybe using some more, or finding some more of that sensation in the calf, the ankles, the shins. Soft little bend in the knees. Let's take a walk. Walk our feet to our hands. Roll ourselves up to stand. Good. So a number of these exercises, I want you to kind of come from a mountain pose. Mountain pose, it's our tall standing posture in yoga. Feet hip width distance apart is good. Maybe even a little bit closer, depending on what makes sense in your hips. Not really, really wide. You want to think about stacking your joints one on top of the other. So if you look at this from the side, I'm not leaning really far forward like a sail, and I'm not hunching back. I like to soften my knees, to kind of unlock them so my legs aren't rigid. Hips are right over those heels. My rib cage lines up over my pelvis. It's not way forward or not way back. Draw your shoulders back in space without puffing your ribs forward. Okay, so with all that said, We're gonna now add another foot exercise. So from here, in your mountain pose, I want you to lift all 10 of your toes. Don't let your weight shift forward or back. Try to spread the weight across the balls of the feet and across the heels. Watch my ankles, watch my shins. They're not gonna move, neither are my knees. I'm just gonna put my 2 big toes down and keep my 8 little toes up. Then switch it. 8 little toes are going down, 2 big toes are going up. You can look down and check and see what your toes are doing, but try not to spend this exercise hunched over. You want to be in mountain pose. Ribs right over pelvis, knees soft, shoulders back, and I'm not shifting forward and back. Check out your feet. Lift all 10 toes up. Just put the big toe down. Then put the 8 little toes down. Notice my weight isn't shifting. If you're looking at your feet and your toes are not moving at all, that's okay. Nobody's usually good at this exercise the first time they try it, but I want you to go through it. Feel what it's doing to your feet, really activating some of those muscles that we normally pay no attention to whatsoever, unless there's an injury or a problem, because we've got great shoes that we wear all the time. Next little exercise. Oh, if you found that your ankles were rolling a lot in that toe exercise, you're gonna grab your block and you're gonna put it between your thighs. If you don't have a yoga block, a shoebox would work really well, or just maybe some towels that are kind of knotted up or tied up in some way, so you've got something you could squeeze into. I'm looking down, all 10 of my toes are up. My ankles can't move because they're holding that block. Big toes down, 8 little toes up. And then switch it. 8 little toes down, 2 big toes up. See if this makes that exercise a little more accessible for you. And if you're really struggling, feel free to just do 1 foot at a time and then the other. You can ask a friend to help you, lift your toe up, put your toe down. Sometimes you actually need that help, or you could do it yourself. I'm lifting my toe up, I'm keeping it up, I'm putting those other toes down. Okay, it stayed. This will get better if you practice it. Next exercise, we're gonna keep that block right between the knees, or right between the shins. You're hugging in. Your ankles are staying stable because they're holding onto that block. You're thinking about your mountain pose, and you're just gonna do little heel lifts, just like we did in that downward dog. Now the tendency is when we do heel lifts and we've got a block between our legs is that we shift front to back to kind of manage balance. That's cheating. I want you to think about a little string coming right out from the crown of your head, so just above where my ponytail is. I'm lifting straight up and dropping down. Keeping a little bit of a bend in my knees to kind of help with that up and down movement. Up and down. Up and down. Minimize the front to back. If you need a mirror, use a mirror to see how much you're moving if you're not sure. After you do a couple of those, you're gonna take the block out and you're gonna do it without the block. Pretend it's still there though. I'm drawing in, I'm not letting my ankles move. Straight up and down. Going up and down. See that wobble side to side? It's harder without that block helping me stabilize. Coming up, going down. Good, you could do this for the whole rest of the day, but we have to move on. So, let's come back down to our mat, coming to hands and knees. So you're gonna bring the heels of your hands right underneath your shoulder blades, knees underneath hips. So we all know about cat and cow, right? This is your cow pose, elbow up, belly drops down, lift your face, open up your chest. We have work through the back of the body and stretch through the front of the torso. The opposite is cat. Work through the front of the body. The abdominals are working, my glutes are working here to hold my pelvis down, and I'm getting some stretch through my back. You don't want to be in either. You're looking for neutral. So you're halfway between that cat and that cow. I'm pressing my hands into the ground firmly. I'm trying to lift my rib cage up towards my shoulder blades, drawing my belly towards my spine, and then trying to extend my spine as long as I can here. Take a big deep breath in, and then exhale, let it go. Let's do a couple of arm exercises since we've spent so much time on the feet. Turn your left fingertips back towards your knees. Notice if all of a sudden you've kind of fallen into that cow pose. I want you to think about neutral. We're lifting our rib cage up towards our shoulder blades. That's probably going to increase a lot of this stretch on the forearm. By the way, if it's too much stretch, maybe turn your hands so they're not quite pointing all the way to the knees, but a little bit out to the side. If you feel like all your weight is falling over towards the right hand, think about your abdominal muscles. Use them to help you stabilize. And think about your legs too. Push them into the ground. Have them be active. Take a breath in here. And then exhale, release. We'll go to the other side. I'm going to turn around just so you can see the front angle. I'm just turning my right fingertips around. Good. I'm not falling away from it. I'm staying centered. Drawing my belly towards my spine. Breathing here nice and softly. Good. Big deep breath in. While we're here, while you've got this angle, let's switch. So bring your right fingertips forward and then turn your right palm up, back of the hand on the floor. Be kind to your wrist. If you've got something going on for your wrist, you can modify this or skip it. So notice where my body wants to go. I'm keeping it centered, and as I push down into the ground, I'm lifting my rib cage up towards my pelvis. And then I'm breathing here. Not too long. And then let's try the other side. Left fingertips in. Notice the shift. Come back to center. Besides the shoulder shifting, you might notice that your feet or your knees shift. Keep everything in neutral. Find your center line and hold it. It's work. Big deep breath in here. And then let's release. Let's do hands out wide to the side, probably a little wider than your mat. And we're just going to take a little rock. Side to side. See how that feels. I almost feel like as I go left, I'm really dropping my right shoulder down. As I go right, I'm dropping my left shoulder down. And I'm looking towards the floor here so that my neck is in neutral. I'm not trying to avoid you. Just keeping that neck in neutral. Keep your face down. Good. All right, then back to our regular hands and knees. Let's take the left leg, extend it back long. So just like when we've changed our arm position, there's a tendency to shift your hips. I want you to stay really centered. I also want you to find that neutral position that's halfway between that cat and cow. Tailbone back, belly towards the spine. I'm hugging my arms in and kind of back towards my body. Shoulder blades and ribs are trying to draw in towards one another. On an exhale, I'm just going to lift my left leg up off the ground. Yeah. Staying solid here. Big deep breath in. Exhale, I'm bending that left knee. Maybe lifting my left foot up a little bit, but again, trying not to bend the low back. This should really feel like a lot of work on the legs. And then I'm coming down. Let's try the other side. Right leg's extended long. I'm going to turn around so you can see the front view again. As I extend my right leg long, I'm not letting my weight shift to the left. I'm drawing my belly button towards the spine and lifting right heel. Wait, if it shifts between the hands, think about pressing both hands into the ground. I'm bending my knee and I'm lifting that heel up. Keeping my spine neutral, feeling that work through the back of that right leg, side of the left leg. Good. Back to our starting position. Left leg's going long. Find middle, find neutral. Exhale, lift that left heel up. Go ahead, bend the left knee. Press the heel up towards the sky. And then from here, let's hug the left knee forward, round the spine. Back to start. Neutral. Left knee goes out to the side. I like to flex my ankle in this one. This one, the body really wants to shift. So keep your weight centered, lift that left knee up as high as you can, and then go ahead, release it. Let's go to the right side. Right toes go back. Chest is open, collarbones are wide. We're gonna lift that right foot up, bend the right knee. Lift the right heel up. Feel that work through the back of the leg. Hold it. Try not to shift. And then go ahead, knee to the nose, round the spine. Right knee's coming back to the start, and then we're going right out to the side. This is the big one. Stay centered, lift that knee up. Breathe here. Feel that work on the outside of the right hip. For 3 more breaths. Good, and then go ahead and bring that knee back down. Back to our starting. We're just adding on a little bit each time, all right? So, left leg goes long, left toes point down. Spine is nice and long. If you want to add a little extra balance, opposite arm. Right hand's coming forward. Chest is open. Ribs are lifting up to the shoulder blades. We're going to bend that left knee. Boop. Lift that left heel up a little. If you've got the space, maybe the right hand reaches back and catches. So we get an extra stretch through the front of that left leg. Chest is open. Collarbones are wide. Without losing your balance, you're going to gracefully release. Put that foot to the ground. Bend the left knee, bring it forward. If you've got space, press through that heel, get it nice and long. Back to center, lift that left heel, draw the left knee towards your spine, round. Let's step the left foot forward through the hand. If you want to use blocks here, go for it. Walk your hands up onto that front thigh. Right hip's coming forward, shoulders drop down, lift your chest. Collarbones are wide. So check in with your hips here. It's a runner's lunge. By the way, if this bothers your knee, you could do a knee up version, or you can pad up. This should feel some stretch through the front of that right leg, and maybe something outside or inside of the left leg, depending on your anatomy. So see what you feel. Where is this more obvious? We're going to check in on it again on the other side. Big, deep breath in here. Exhale, bring your hands to the ground. Step back. We're going to do all of that on the other side, which all of a sudden I'm realizing is quite a memory challenge for me, and I don't have any of you to help me if I go off balance. So you'll tell me. No, you won't. Extend the right leg back behind you. Lift the right leg up. Good, so you're staying neutral. You're being nice and long here. Chest is open, spine is long. Weight is staying in the middle. Press into that left foot if you need extra help. Left hand reaches forward. Chest is open. Collarbones are wide. If you tried it on the other side, you're gonna bend that right knee, sweep the left hand back, catch it. Again, notice shift. You're trying to hold the center line. Trying not to let that back knee go out to the side. Breathe in here. Don't lose anything. Re-extend. Exhale, hand to the ground. Right knee's gonna hover, and then we're gonna go out to the side. From here, if you've got the space, you're gonna extend through that right heel. Nice long leg. Back to center, knee up, bring it through around the spine, and we'll step forward into our lunge. Good, bringing the hands up, blocks if you want them. Right hip's pulling back in space as the left hip is pulling forward. Press down into that left foot or left knee. So this would change. Maybe there's some stretch somewhere on the front of this left hip. I feel this much more on the outside of my right hip than I did on the left on the other side. Take a breath in. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, come back down. We're gonna shift those knees back, head back to your mat, and come to lie face down. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on that pillow. Breathe in here. Exhale, let it go. Let's bend the knees. Take a little windshield wiper from side to side. Just see how that feels. So from here, we're gonna do one more front of the hip stretch. We kind of did that on hands and knees, but if you couldn't catch your back foot, it's a little bit easier to do when you're lying on the ground. So first thing we have to find is Sphinx pose. Notice your shoulders. If they tend to draw forward, you want to pull those shoulder blades back in space. Press your hands and elbows into the ground. Reach the crown of the head up to the sky. Draw your belly button towards your spine and extend your tailbone long towards your heels. Good. From here, we're going to take the right hand, kind of cross it over so it's closer to the left for balance. You're going to bend that left leg. And you're going to see if you can grab it. If you can't grab it, move a strap around it and hold it. If we've got some tightness in the front of that left hip, the knee probably comes out to the side or the hip rolls open. You want to keep your hip pointing down to the ground. Pull that foot in towards your body while engaging the inner thigh muscles so you're holding your knees towards one another. Good, take a big deep breath in here. Exhale, release. We'll switch over to the other side. So, starting in our Sphinx, left hand kind of moves towards right, extend the spine, catch. Draw your shoulders back, lift your chest. Inner thighs are holding that center line. Be careful of your knee here. Good, inhale. And then exhale, go ahead, release that foot to the ground. Give your hips a little bit of movement. Come back to rest. Big deep breath in here. Exhale, let it out. Just notice what you feel. Good. The next exercise we're going to do, we're going to go back to a shoulder exercise. I wish I had a giant lazy Susan. I could put this mat on and I could swing from side to side. So we'll try this. I'll move around a little bit so you can see the angle of my shoulders. Primarily, what I want you to think about is the tendency for work in the shoulders to be kind of forward, and how hard it is to sometimes get those muscles that surround our shoulder blades to do their work stabilizing the shoulder blades. So the best way I can think of this is if you think of a pull-down exercise, like one of those pull-down bars or a pull-up bar, as if you're doing a pull-up. When you do that, we use some of these muscles along the outside of the shoulder and the shoulder blade. We're going to try to find them as we move our spine. So, starting position, kind of like that Sphinx. Feet are about hips width distance apart. Chest is open, collarbones are wide. From here, you're going to strike your hands forward. I've got them in front of my mat. They're just a teeny bit wider than my shoulders, and I'm on my fingertips. The starting position is head down. I'm kind of drawing my elbows out to the side a little bit and kind of feeling where my shoulders are in space. Think about that pull down action. Press into the fingertips, try to pull your elbows back towards your waist, push into the floor, inhale, come up. Exhale, go down. So now I'm walking my fingertips so they're on the outer corners of my mat. My elbows are bent more now. My head's going to the ground. I'm going to draw those elbows like I'm trying to put my elbows in my back pockets of my jeans. Pressing down into the ground, inhale, I'm lifting my chest, then my head. Very important. Come down. Walk those hands one print closer, top to bottom, but out to the side, one hand print wider. Again, my elbows are going to be even more bent now. I'm drawing my elbows back in space, pushing my fingertips into the ground. Inhale, my chest comes up, and then my head. If my head came up first, I would probably be getting kind of my upper trap and my neck doing a lot of this work, which I don't want it to. Now my hands are right in line with my shoulders. My elbows are straight up to the sky. I'm drawing them back in space. I'm pushing down firmly. Inhale, lift chest, then head. Exhale, come down. Let's do one more round. Fingertips on the floor, kind of right off the top of your mat. Bring the forehead down. Draw your elbows back in space, press into the fingertips. Inhale, chest, then head. Exhale, come down. I'm walking my hands to the outer edges of my mat. Elbows to the sky, drawing back in space. Elbows towards your back pockets. Inhale, chest, then head. Come down. One more step. Hands closer to you lengthwise. Further out to the side, left to right. Draw your elbows back. Inhale, come up, chest, then head. Exhale, come down. One more hand print. So now they line right up with my shoulders. I'm pulling my elbows back in space. Inhale, chest, then head. Exhale, relax. If you love this exercise, you can play that whole section over and over again. Thinking about activation here and really moving the spine. While we're on shoulders, let's grab our yoga straps and come on up to stand. Okay, you remember what our mountain looks like. It's about this. Ribs right over pelvis. Really feel like you're grounding in here to be strong. We're going to take our arms out to the side, holding on to, I have a yoga strap, but you can use a belt or a scarf. So probably about 3 feet apart, but you'll know if you inhale, bring your arms up overhead, and then exhale, take them behind you. There's this spot somewhere where you're gonna feel some resistance and feel some stretch. You wanna feel that. If you get back there and you can't get through that spot without bending and maneuvering, make your hands wider. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make your hands closer. Feet about hip width distance, knees softly bent, ribs lining up with pelvis, shoulders back in space. Think about all those muscles that we're just working in that last exercise. We're gonna inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, drop your arms back behind you. Inhale from the bottom up. Exhale from the top down. Good. Notice my rib cage, it's not moving in space. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring it back down. If that got easier, make your hands a little bit closer. Inhale, bring them up over your head. Now you're gonna stop in that sticky point. And you're gonna pull like you're trying to rip the yoga strap in half. Notice if your neck tenses up. Keep those shoulders down. Maybe bobble your head out a little bit. Rib cage is dropping down so those front ribs aren't puffing way out. They're lined up with the pelvis. Keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, and keep breathing. Then go ahead and release the strap behind your back. Breath in here. Whew. Give those shoulders a little roll front to back. We're gonna do the exact same thing, but we're gonna go from the bottom up. Inhale up, find that sticky spot. It might be a little bit different, a little bit lower. Feel where your ribs are in space. Relax your neck, reach the crown of the head to the sky. Breathe here. Keep a sweet, soft expression on your face. Maybe even smile. Inhale, bring those arms up. Exhale, go ahead, take them down. Give the shoulders a little movement. We're gonna take this strap to the ground for just a few more exercises. These last 2, really focusing on more of a stretch than activation. So I'm lying on the floor on my back, kind of feeling like a mountain pose here. Pressing through my heels. I'm trying to find that alignment between my pelvis and my ribs. And then I'm gonna bend the left knee, bring it into the chest. As soon as I pull that knee up, I'll start to notice some shifts. I'm gonna take the strap, put it around the left leg and extend the leg to the sky. And then work on those shifts. So the tendency is that left hip kind of hikes up. I'm gonna stick my thumb right in that left hip crease and extend the side of my waist long, and that's probably gonna increase the hamstring stretch. By the way, if your hamstring is screaming at you, feel free to put a little bend into that knee. Make this tolerable. Left hip crease is moving towards the right foot as the left heel is moving towards the sky. And I'm trying to keep tension out of my right shoulder even though it's pulling against my leg. Good, take a breath in here. And then keeping this left hip on the ground, I'm gonna let my left heel move across my body. So the obvious is to just go all the way and let that hip up. But if you keep the hip down and bring the leg across, you're more likely gonna get more of this outer hip stretch. Depending on the shape of your hips, whether it's the muscle or the bony structure, you might get more or less stretch if that heel goes closer to your foot, opposite foot, or closer to your head. Play with that, but keep that left heel on the ground and find a little stretch sensation there. Try to relax. Maybe extend the left arm out to the side once you've got that hip committed to staying in that same position. Good, then go ahead and bring that left knee back up. Give it a little hug. And then let's just take a nice cross knee twist. Drop, or bent knee twist. Drop that left knee over to the right. This time the hip can come up. Taking a big deep breath into those left side ribs. Exhale, let them go. Breath into the ribs, feel them open up. Exhale, relax, come back to center. Let's try the other foot. Loop that strap around the left foot. So I'm sorry, the right foot. I'm holding the strap with my left hand, and I'm going to take my right thumb, put it right in that right hip crease so I can push the outside of my right hip towards my left foot. And then I can bring my right foot closer to my head without letting my pelvis shift around too much. Good. If your hips are tight, you may do this with a bent knee. Sorry if I didn't tell you that on the other side. You can do that option. Right outer hip is moving towards the left foot. Right toes are moving towards my head. Nice big stretch through the back of that right leg. The further the strap is up on your foot, so the closer to the toes, the more you're probably going to get a calf stretch. If your calves are really tight, you might want to minimize that a little. Now we're going to go across. So left hand's holding the strap, right hand's keeping my right hip to the floor, and I'm moving my right foot over to the left. Good. Starting to feel this IT, kind of glute, this whole area on the outside of your hip and leg. Think tuxedo pants. It's that stripe. And then play with moving your foot maybe a little bit closer to the left foot, maybe a little closer to the head, and see how that stretch moves along that tuxedo stripe. Take a breath in here. Exhale, relax. Upper body is still, we're just seeing if we can find some stretch through that outer body, or outer side of your body. Go ahead, hug the right knee in, and then move it across your body. Maybe the right arm relaxes on the floor. Big deep breath into those right ribs. Exhale, let the breath out. Good, come back to center. Extend your legs long. If your low back feels sensitive, put something underneath your knees. Bolster, blanket, some blocks. Or if you're using shoe boxes for blocks. Come into final rest. Come back to your breath. That idea of making your breath like a circle. Inhale. And at the very end of the inhale, it's going to turn right around and exhale out of your body. As soon as everything's out of your body, turn it right around. Inhale. Bring more breath in. Continue. And you can stay here in this position for a few minutes if you'd like. Just really connecting with the sensations that you feel in your body. Maybe noticing what parts were really challenging for you. What parts you're still feeling a little bit. And then just let your mind kind of drift off, settle in. And join us again soon for another class. Namaste.